Okay, you little shit. I get to talk on my fucking show.
Wow, now
whenever
the real person comes.
What do you think I did for 26 years of my life? What do you think I did when I was in church almost every single day, when I went to ministry school, when I was a worship leader, when I gave every single part of my life to this belief? What do you think I was doing, Larry? How do you think I became an atheist? I will go ahead and give you the answer. I was seeking God.
who repeatedly gets asked to demonstrate the truth of what he called in to defend, who completely, utterly fails and spews forth the most delusional, confused, illogical sentences I've ever heard.
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for supporting the channel. As some of you know, the majority of my content on this channel is funded by patrons at patreon.com/atheistdebates. But all of the content is available for free to all of you. If you're able to become a patron, I appreciate the support, but this clip is not patron supported. It's from a call we took recently on the line. I'll be posting more clips like this, probably with this intro attached to all of them, especially as we near 200,000 subscribers here. So whether you're a patron, a YouTube subscriber, or just someone who views and comments, likes, and subscribes, thank you and enjoy.
So Larry's calling from Canada. Larry's a theist, pronouns are he, him, who wants to talk about the God he knows. Hey, Larry, how are you? You're on with Promise and Matt.
Hi, how are you?
Pretty good.
Hello? Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I just heard your talk before, and as a Canadian, this is just, I like to thank Americans. We love Americans, and I'm glad to hear that a lot of people are seeing that maybe your president has a lot of things to fix. And but we love you, and I'm sorry he declared war on Canada, and other democratic countries. But anyway, I just thank you for what I heard.
Thanks,
there.
Larry.
That's good. That's good. Yeah,
Thanks,
that's good.
There's a lot of us that are embarrassed, and we are not being represented right now at all. I understand that the rest of the world is going to struggle to understand how divided it is, but this is not representing of us at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
On that note, Larry, while I'm sure I'd love for us all to be kind of kumbaya and sharing everything else, it says you wanted to talk about the God you know, and I'm assuming that by the God you know, you mean it in the sense of like I'm familiar with, like I know promise, not I know that promise exists. So you're talking like in a relational sense?
Oh yeah, definitely a relation.
Cool. How does that work? Like, does God speak to you audibly or not?
Well, let me ask you a question, and I don't mean to give this like to insult you or I'm trying to make somebody look or belittle anybody, but I know God personally, and you say you don't. So how does that prove that he doesn't exist?
It doesn't, Larry, and I've never claimed it does. Why did you avoid my question? It's not up to any of us to prove that God doesn't exist. It's up to the people who say he does exist to prove that he exists. And so when I asked you, you said you know that God exists. And I said, how does that work? Does God speak to you or something, giving you the opportunity to explain to me how you're in a relationship with God? I'm not in a relationship with God. I'm not at all saying that means that God doesn't exist. But I have seen no good evidence that a God exists, and you seem to think that you have. So I'm wondering what's the evidence that God exists, and how does he interact with you?
Well, for years I never even thought about God or cared if he exists, to tell you the truth. But some things happened in my life that I don't need to really go into to explain. But
okay,
what happened was
Larry, I'm going to stop talking because while you're a nice guy, you're going to irritate the fuck out of me really quickly here. And I know that Promise would be better at this because what I'm trying to figure out is you say you know that God exists. Promise and I do not know that. I would like to know how you know and how you think we can know. I don't need to hear about how for years you never thought about God. That's not relevant to how you know, and it's definitely not relevant to how we know. So I'm looking for people who can actually say, Here's why I know that God exists, and here's how you can also know that God exists. Is that something you can do? Because you're not doing it so far.
Well, I haven't really started, and I can see that you're getting quite angry or upset. So
I'm actually not angry. I'm explaining to you that I have asked you several questions, and you have, like every theist almost on the planet, avoided answering those questions and instead immediately directed a question to me that betrayed that you don't understand what atheism is, you don't understand what the burden of proof is, you don't understand what my position is. And none of that is relevant to whether or not you can demonstrate a good reason to believe that God exists. So that's the frustrating part, is that I'm sitting here, Larry, trying to Larry, let me finish. I'm sitting here hosting a show, trying to have good discussions with people about their God belief and whether or not we should share it. And you're refusing to answer questions. Yes, of course, that irritates me.
Well, like you just said to me, if you give me time to answer, I could probably answer.
Larry, I'm going to shut up now, and I'm going to ask you one last time, and you can take as much time as Promise feels that you should get, because I am sick to death of theists saying, well, if you'd give me time, when I've literally asked them a question and given them an opportunity to answer multiple times, and they fucking avoid the question. So the question is, how would you demonstrate that we should also be able to know that God exists? That's my question. I'll play chess.
Well, it might start with if you didn't get so upset so quickly.
Larry, why?
Fuck yourself, Larry.
We're actually
I'm
trying
done.
to have an honest conversation with you.
No, you're not. I haven't got to say anything.
Larry, I haven't
talked. You just cut me off again. You just cut me off again.
I'm going to cut you off because I'm going to step in, or Matt's done talking to you and we can let you off the line. Do you want to talk to me now, or do you want us to let you go? Because I can ask some specific questions if you'd like.
Well, to make this fair, I think we should just close it off, because it is obvious.
You fucking coward! You lying coward!
I have real questions for you, Larry.
Call me what you want. If whatever makes you feel good. And you sat there and cut up people that believe in somebody else? Come on,
Larry.
You people are sad. What?
Do you want to try to answer some of my...
You're the sad one, Larry. You're the sad one. You won't answer a single fucking question, and then you whine like a little baby about how somebody else asked you a question but didn't give you time to answer, when that's a lie. And they did, in fact, give you time to answer. You just didn't do it.
I haven't muted. Larry, I have questions. If you want to try this one last time, otherwise I'm going to feel pretty similar to Matt and just let you go. I think the problem here is you're probably used to sharing your testimony. I don't want a testimony. I want direct answers to actual questions that we have here. So my first question for you was going to be, which God is it that you're talking about specifically? Is this the Christian God?
Am I talking, or?
Yeah. Is it the Christian? Is it the Christian God that you believe in?
I believe in God and His Son, Jesus Christ.
Okay. So would you say that probably the Bible, the Christian God? This is not a gotcha question. I'm just trying to understand who I'm talking to. Are you a Christian?
Yes.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay, so you believe that you have relationship with this God. I have had people tell me that they have relationships with all kinds of other gods, or even with a dead celebrity and all of that. So what we're asking you is, how would you show us that you actually have relationship with this specific God and not anything else, and that it's not just something in your head, or that you're not making it up? How would you convince Matt and I that what you're saying is true and that you actually are in relationship with this specific God?
Okay, over phone, I obviously can't show you or anything like that. All I can tell you is that the Bible's not God. A church building with 4 walls is not God.
I got to stop you, Larry, because I don't want to know. I don't want to know what's not God. I'm asking you, how do you know that you are in relationship with this specific God, and how can you show that to Matt and I? How can you demonstrate that?
Well,
why are you so convinced that you're not worried, that you're talking to yourself, that you're not worried that this is maybe an hallucination, that you're not just lying? Like, where's the reality in this situation?
Well, why would I make something up to myself? I might as well look in the mirror and tell myself I'm beautiful, or be a Trump and say I'm the greatest Trump president there is. I could
And
do
people
that,
do that
but
all the
that,
time. People lie to themselves.
right.
That's actually a
Trump
great
proves
example.
it.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
So I'm
Trump
asking
proves
you,
it.
how can you show us that you are in relationship with an entire God, and that it's not just something that exists only in your head?
Because if it only existed in my head, I'd either need psychiatry help, or I would need somebody to continually tell me that God's real, or else, because I wouldn't be having a relationship. I have a relationship with him. I know what he says. I know he loves me, and I know he cares for me. And
How do you know?
really, it's just like, huh?
How do you
Say
know?
that again?
How do you know
Because
that?
I talk to him. I talk to him just like I'm talking to you.
And how do you know that it's not the devil convincing you otherwise?
Because the devil only has one direction, and that's always negative.
How do you know that?
God always, huh?
So
Hello?
God is so because you're hearing positive things in your head, you've decided that that's a God.
Oh yeah, because I know what negative things are. It's happened to me. But now that I have this relationship with God and I know him, there isn't anything that I could die right now and it wouldn't even bother me a bit. I'm not worried
Same
about
here, Larry.
not one
Same
thing.
here.
Huh?
So same here. But let me tell you something.
Well, that's good. That's good. I'm not saying.
I also used to be a Christian for many,
Yep.
many, many years, and I deeply believed that I had relationship with God. I believed the same thing. I thought that I was communicating with God. I thought God was speaking to me in my head. And I would have said very similar things to what you're saying right now. I realized that I had no reason to believe any gods exist at all, much less this specific God. And do you know how I explained away that relationship that I thought I had had for all those years and years and years? I realized it was my own voice in my head. And I realized that all these things happening throughout my life were either things I accomplished on my own, that if no God existed, the exact same outcome would have occurred. And that I was assigning and crediting different things in my life happening to this God when I didn't need to do that. Are you 100% sure that that is not what's going on with you?
Oh, definitely.
How do you know? So what's the difference between what I experienced and what you're experiencing now? And how can you show that to Matt and I?
Well, an example, just the fact that I was, I have wonderful sleeps. And when I wake up, I know answers to things that I was asking the day before every time, because I didn't know this before until I actually read that Jesus guarantees that if you ask him anything, he'll give it to you, and he does. I've gone through
anything. So we could ask you any question right now, and you would be able to give us the answer because you could ask Jesus.
No, it doesn't work that way.
Oh wait, but you just said you literally just said that Jesus says you can ask him anything and he'll give you that information. How does it work then? Why are you saying one thing and then flip-flopping on it?
I'm not flip-flopping. It's just like you and I
can
are
you
talking.
Answer my question?
There's a lot of things I wouldn't ask
Larry,
you.
Larry,
yes.
Can you answer my question? You just told me.
No.
I just did. I'm trying to answer it, and you won't let me. I'm telling you that I can ask it. Well, that's fine. You want to call me that. You're not hurting my feelings. If it makes you feel good, great. I feel great. You feel good. You like
it makes me feel good to tell the truth. It makes me feel good to tell the truth, and you're a fucking liar.
I thought you were going to mute yourself. I asked you to
I don't have to do. Okay, you little shit. I get to talk on my fucking show.
Well, now
whenever
the real person comes.
Here we go. You're getting the real person right now, Larry. I get to talk on my fucking show whenever the fuck I want. I will talk over a co-host, although I'd rather not. I will talk over a producer, although I'd rather not. But I will definitely talk over to a fucking delusional liar like you, who repeatedly gets asked to demonstrate the truth of what he called in to defend, who completely, utterly fails and spews forth the most delusional, confused, illogical sentences I've ever heard. Ever. And who lies by saying that the Bible says Jesus will answer anything. It doesn't say that. chapter and verse. Find the chapter and verse that says Jesus will tell you whatever. That's not in the fucking Bible. But you don't know what's in the Bible because you don't know anything about any of this. And because you think it's in the Bible, you think that Jesus will answer your questions. But when Promise correctly says, okay, then we should be able to ask you anything, and you can ask Jesus and Jesus will tell you, all of a sudden, shit don't work that way. But then you betrayed yourself. You betrayed yourself, Larry, because you pointed out there are things I wouldn't ask you. So you're trying to respin, not to say, hey, Jesus won't answer that, but to say, I wouldn't be so rude as to ask Jesus that, because you're a delusional coward who knows you're full of shit. Welcome to the show.
Am I still here?
You're
Hello?
still here.
Were you even listening?
Can I talk or can I?
Were you listening to anything that Matt just said? And do you have anything productive to say, or are you just going to go back and forth and not offer us any information?
Are you going to talk for me and tell me what I'm thinking and what I want to say? Have I got
Here, Larry, I'm going to mute you again. Let me explain to you, Larry, how conversations work. You say something, the person you're having a conversation with asks a clarifying question. You answer that clarifying question, and it proceeds that way. But that's not what you're doing. We're asking you a question. You're rambling on about something that doesn't answer the question. And when we point that out, you come on and lie and say that we're not allowing you the opportunity to answer it. We have allowed you the opportunity to answer many questions over and over and over again. All you do is whine and show that you are the worst defender of Christianity I've ever come across. You can't present any evidence. You can't present any argument. You don't know what the Bible says. You have no way of demonstrating this, but you're convinced that because you hear good things in your mind, that must be God. Well, that is, in fact, fallacious reasoning that does not demonstrate your case, something that you also don't understand. But at the end of the day, I'm going to unmute you here in just a second, and you'll hear a little beep, and then you'll be back on, and then you don't have to say, am I allowed to talk now? Because that's just whiny little bitch stuff. Instead, you should answer the questions that have been asked. And you can start with the most obvious one, which is, what can I do to know that there's a God in the way that you know that there's a God? I'm unmuting you now so that you can answer the question without whining.
Hello. Okay. If you want to know God like I do, then seek him. That's all. That's all you can do. I can't.
What do you think I did for 26 years of my life? What do you think I did when I was in church almost every single day, when I went to ministry school, when I was a worship leader, when I gave every single part of my life to this belief? What do you think I was doing, Larry? How do you think I became an atheist? I will go ahead and give you the answer. I was seeking God.
Am I cut off again?
Nope.
I'm still here. I
You're
keep
here.
hearing beep.
Yep,
Am I
that means
here?
that you're on, that means you can answer. When you hear a beep, it means it's your turn to talk.
Okay. The reason why I phoned was I wanted your answer just because if I know God and I know him and I talk to him and you don't, I don't understand why you say that means he can't exist.
I didn't say that, Larry.
Okay,
I'm asking
tell
you
me
why. We've this whole entire call has been us asking you how you know that God exists.
And I
Nothing
told
to
you.
do with any claims. You still haven't actually told us. You've told us why you've convinced yourself about this, but you haven't offered us a good reason for us
I
to
didn't
believe
convince
you. That
myself.
I'm still in the
I'd
middle
be
of
an
the
idiot
sentence.
to try to think I can convince myself there's a God.
I'm still in the middle of talking, Larry. So the whole time we've just been trying to understand from you why, if you're just going to laugh at me when I've been the one patient enough to take the time to talk to you, even though Matt is correct that we should have ended the call a while ago because you're being so blatantly dishonest, then I'm going to be done with you too. You're being rude to me for no reason. I'm the one that's let you talk the most.
Well, I think if you just go back and look at the time I've talked and the time you guys have talked,
I don't care
think
if
you'll
you've talked
see
for
I
30
haven't said
seconds and
much
I've
of
talked
anything. I haven't said
everything I did-
anything.
Correct. And if
I'm
we took
muting her.
everything you've said, Larry, the number of things you've said that have been of any value to anyone on the planet is zero.
That's okay. That's how you feel.
It's not okay. It's not okay, Larry. Your job,
Oh, I
Larry,
can't
is to
change your
call in and
mind.
defend. Your job, Larry, is to call in and defend your God belief. For the final time, I'm going to unmute you.
Done anything.
Are you
haven't done anything.
able? Okay. Evidently, you're just going to talk the whole time you're on fucking mute. So I'm going to try this again. I'm going to unmute you, Larry. And for the final time, I'm going to ask you to answer one question. And based on how you answer that question determines how many more words you get to waste my time with. Are you ready for the question?
Go ahead.
Do you have the ability to demonstrate to me that God exists? Yes or no?
No.
Goodbye.
At least we got an answer that time.
Yep.
Wow.
Larry also, by the way, made an absolutely... So Larry is a very confused, irrational individual who does not understand logical thought or fallacies. And this is not me slagging him off. This is a fact. When he said, how could he know that God was real? His answer was, because if I didn't, I would need a psychiatrist. Well, Larry, you may well need a psychiatrist. How do you know that you don't need a psychiatrist or a psychologist or a therapist or a counselor? How do you know that you don't? If you say, well, there must be a God, otherwise I'm crazy. Ha ha! How did you rule out the crazy? How did you rule out the irrational?
Yep.
The truth is, you didn't. It's a fallacy. It's an argumentum ad baculum. It's an appeal to the stick. It is an argument that if I'm not right about God, then I am delusional, and that's a bad thing. Therefore, I must be right about God. That's like saying, if I don't have $1 million in my bank account, I'm fucking broke, which means I must have $1 million in my bank account. The point, Larry, is that all we wanted to know was you're completely convinced that a God exists and that you communicate with that God. Something I asked about at the beginning of the call, do you hear God's voice? A question that you did not answer and instead tried to ask me a question about some irrelevant, confused thing about how does my disbelief disprove God? You are not ready for the prime time, Larry. You are not equipped to have these conversations. You are not equipped to be honest in these conversations. Because at the end, when I said, can you demonstrate God? And you said, no, that was, you know how quickly and pleasantly this call would have been over and done with if you'd have just done that at the beginning? If you'd have said, yes, I hear an audible voice from God. No, I won't ask him any questions on your behalf. And no, I won't do anything to demonstrate it. We would have said, okay, there's nothing we can address there. This show exists so that we can have a discussion and you can demonstrate that what you believe is real. But you can't do that by your own admission. And yet you called in to say, I want to talk about this God that I know is real. Okay, how do you know? Oh, I just know because otherwise I'm crazy. Okay, how can we know? Oh, you can seek him. I took off my earbuds and my eyeglasses and threw them down and said I quit and walked off to go pee. When your answer, after a long call, was to say that, oh, yes, you can find God. All you got to do is seek him. Hey, you can learn about evolution too if you just go read. Hey, you can learn about logical fallacies too if you just go learn about it. Or we could actually explain how your logical argument is flawed. That if God doesn't exist, either God exists or I'm crazy. I'm not crazy, therefore God exists. I don't know how you ruled that out. Because the other option isn't crazy. It is irrational. And yet you demonstrated multiple times that you are, in fact, very irrational during that call. Your reasons for believing, your thoughts about how we could demonstrate it, all of those are irrational. Every potential argument you tried to make, even with the most charitable listing, was fallacious. And the constant whining about how you're not getting to answer, when we literally thanked you, asked you a question, and the first fucking words out of your mouth in response to the question was to say, let me ask you a question. How does this prove that God doesn't exist? Larry, I just wanted to talk to you about God. And you just wanted to whine and feel oppressed and be cocksure and smug and in your confusion and assert that, oh, all we got to do is seek him.